Right, so today is day 29 of my New Year's planting challenge. Having started out fairly cloudy, it's now got really hot and really dry, and it sort of gives the impression it's planning to stay this way. So I might actually have to start watering some things, which will be earlier than intended. But for now, let's just get on with it. Right. So today's planting was originally just going to be one tree, and for now I'm going to count it as one, but it might end up being two. The reason being, some of the marker plants that I cut, I realised they were not big enough to act as markers yet. So while they're growing in today's planting, I'm putting in another plant which will act as a marker, but I don't know whether it'll survive because this is not the time of year I would usually propagate that one. It is how I propagate it, but not at this time of year. So today's actual planting is a Kigelia africana, which is the sausage tree. It's a fairly large riverine and floodplain tree usually, which produces a gigantic fruit, which is not edible to humans, but is often used traditionally for a lot of medical purposes, usually topically, so as a skin treatment. I don't know if there's any internal uses. The fruit is also very popular with a lot of wildlife. Porcupines notoriously eat them, and I have personally seen a bull giraffe swallowing them off the tree. And if you have ever seen a sausage fruit, it makes you suddenly realize just how big giraffes are when they do that. But anyway, we don't have giraffes here, so that's not an immediate concern. I'm planting it because we have a mature one that flowers very reliably but has never set fruit, and I think the reason is we don't have another one nearby and it doesn't seem to be self-fertile. Around that I'm putting a ring of little calico fetching koi, which should shade the soil quite quickly. I'm putting quite a lot because I have a suspicion that the weather we've got today is now going to last. We're going to have a short dry period. So I want quite a lot of shade on this just to keep it as protected as possible. And then outside of that, I'm putting a ring of aloe arborescens, the krantz aloe, which again will provide shade. They will provide a certain degree of toxicity against insects that might come while this is still settling in. And they will also start flowering quite nicely within the next year or so. It's quite a shade tolerant aloe, so even once this is a mature tree, it should be fine in the same area. And right around the outside of those, I am putting 3 Dracaena fragrans. I'm putting them a little bit further away because this tree can get quite wide, and I hope I put them far enough away that they'll be able to grow through it, which I think should be quite interesting to see once they're all mature. So the secondary planting, which is primarily going in as a marker, is a Plumeria. I think it's Plumeria rubra, which I just know as frangipani. It is an American tree, I think from South America, but I'm not 100% on exactly where they're from, but it's very widely grown in the tropics as an ornamental. Very fragrant flowers, especially when very hot. And around the base of that, I'm putting in a couple of Aloe cameroni, which should flower within the next month or so from the stress of being transplanted, which again should be a treat for the pollinators that are around at this time of year. Yeah, so that should be it for today. Tune in tomorrow. I think I have a plan for then.